Howdy, folks. I'm Mild Melon, melodically mimicking majestic magpies.
I'm Amber.
And here are more magpie songs for us to sing. Or Reddit, I'm not sure which. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Wanting to Attend My Cousin's Wedding After She Sabotaged My Career and Got Me Fired? 2 years ago, I, a 28-year-old female, was working at a company where I had been steadily climbing the ladder for years. My cousin Sarah, a 30-year-old female, got a job at the same company, and I was excited to help get her started. We had always been close growing up, so I felt it natural to support her. However, things quickly took a turn for the worse. A few months after Sarah started working there, rumors began to circulate that I was having an affair with our married boss. At first, I just brushed it off as typical workplace gossip, but it escalated quickly. My boss's wife even confronted me, and HR got involved. Despite my protests of innocence, the situation became unbearable, and I was eventually fired due to company image concerns. I was devastated, I lost my job, my reputation was in shambles, and I felt utterly betrayed. A few weeks after I was let go, I discovered through a mutual friend that Sarah was the one who had started the rumor. She was apparently jealous of the recognition that I was getting at work and decided to spread lies to bring me down. When I confronted her, she denied everything at first, but eventually admitted to it, saying that she didn't think that it would go that far. Needless to say, our relationship completely broke down after that. I've had no contact with her since. Now Sarah is getting married, and our family expects me to attend the wedding. My parents are pressuring me, saying that family is family, and that I should let bygones be bygones. They argue that it's her special day, and I shouldn't let old grudges ruin it. However, I still harbor a lot of resentment towards Sarah, and the idea of pretending that everything is fine for one day feels impossible to me. I told my parents that I don't want to go, and they're calling me selfish and unforgiving. They say that it's been 2 years, and that I should have moved on by now. But I can't forget that Sarah's actions led to me losing my job and nearly wrecked my life. So, am I the jerk for not wanting to attend my cousin's wedding after she sabotaged my career and got me fired? Alright, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. Absolutely not the jerk. What Sarah did is despicable. And where were all your parents and all these other family people when Sarah did this? Why weren't they on her case to confess her wrongdoings and, try and make things right?
Yeah.
The thing is, she has done nothing to pay for her crimes. She has not done anything other than give OP oh, well, I didn't realize it would go this far. It doesn't even sound like she gave any kind of apology. Not that that would be grounds for OP has to go, but she has done nothing. She just wants to sweep everything under the rug, and so does everyone else. You are not required to go along with that.
No, but what I also want to know is why is it that the boss was able to keep their job and OP wasn't able to keep their job? Because if the boss was the person in position of power, right, then that would have been exploitative for him to have an affair with OP.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just misogyny, plain and simple. Unfortunately, especially, I don't know what industry it is, but, the people in positions of power oftentimes get to retain their power, while people with less power are the ones who pay the price.
Yeah. And, I mean, why is it that the boss wasn't able to put these rumors to rest too, right? Does the boss have a history of this kind of behavior? And if so, that's not a very good look on him, right? Now, I feel bad for OP here, and I think that OP should have consulted a lawyer, and hopefully they still can consult a lawyer to actually sue their cousin for slander, because this is slanderous.
Right. Well, and maybe potentially wrongful termination. I don't know how that works exactly, but slander suits can be really expensive. I don't know if it's going to be easy to pursue, but I don't know how expensive wrongful termination lawsuits are by contrast, but it might be cheaper.
Well, I mean, the biggest problem with slander lawsuits, at least in the US, is that you have to have a financial loss, and OP losing their job would be considered a financial loss. And if OP actually has evidence of the cousin saying this, or through texts or through a recording or any other things, then she could use that to essentially leverage that slander lawsuit. So yeah, I know that slander lawsuits aren't necessarily easy, but it might be a little less difficult since OP actually has lost their job and has had a financial loss from it. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck.
And also, we're not lawyers. This is not legal advice.
Oh yeah. And Smog the Hedgehog says, not the jerk. And I would tell your parents that you would consider going only if she, one, has quit her job, two, personally apologize to me, and active/real apology that fully acknowledges what she did and the harm that it caused you, makes a massive public apology, including on social media, where she admits that she lied because she was jealous of your recognition at work, how she wanted to bring you down, all of your coworkers, your boss, the company itself, everyone needs to be tagged or personally contacted to tell them the truth of what happened. It won't bring your job back, but at least it will help clear your reputation. 4, repaid any of the bills that you might have struggled with to cover while out of a job due to her malice. For example, you were out of work for a month, she needs to pay you for your student loans, rent, utilities, food, bills, etc. for that month. Then, if and only if she has done the above, I would still probably not attend because I don't attend weddings of backstabbing liars who actively try to ruin my life. And personally, I would be struggling with my parents if they continue to side with a person who tried to hurt me so badly. And OP replies, thank you. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for telling my best friend that she should call off her wedding? Throw away names, and they're all fake. I'm a 27-year-old female, and I have a best friend, Daisy, a 27-year-old female, who is getting married in about a month and a half to Max, a 29-year-old male. They've been together for 3 years and are really perfect together. I was super supportive of their wedding until recently. About a week ago, Daisy had her bachelorette party. She didn't want to do anything ridiculous, so just the closest of girlfriends went to a small vineyard for a nice dinner. And it was during this dinner that she dropped the bomb. She made a big show of pouring everyone a glass of the house red except for herself and took a huge sip of water. She started smiling at all of us as if we were all already in on the joke, but we weren't. But then slowly the realization dawned and she confirmed she was pregnant. 2 months pregnant to be exact. We were all happy for her and congratulated her, hugging her, etc. Then someone made one of those jokes about having them get married just in case she was pregnant, and she got all mischievous again. She then revealed that Max doesn't know and that it was going to be a surprise. The reaction to this was mostly positive, which dumbfounded me. Max and Daisy have always wanted kids. I've even known that they've explicitly talked about it before deciding to get married, which is definitely the right thing to do. However, just because 2 people want kids doesn't mean that one person can just make the decision of when the time is right. And that's exactly what I feel that Daisy is doing. I don't think that you should marry someone when you're keeping something this massive a secret. I have no idea how she managed to keep it a secret for 2 months anyways. But according to her, they've been so busy with the wedding planning that it was easy to hide. And anything weird happening, like her vomiting, is just attributed to stress. I talked to Daisy the day after the party. I told her what I thought, and that I was just trying to look out for her, and that if it was the other way around, I would want her to do the same thing for me. She got really quiet while I was talking, and afterwards told me that she didn't appreciate me butting in on their marriage, and that it was her decision. I pointed out that it shouldn't be just her decision, that she was majorly affecting Max's life too, without even including him in the conversation, and that she shouldn't go through with the wedding if she was insistent on keeping him in the dark. This made her mad, and she told me to leave and not contact her. Since then, I've gotten some messages from our friends who were at the party, so I guess she told them. A couple of them agree with me, but most of them are on her side and calling me a jerk for ruining what was supposed to be the most exciting time in Daisy's life, and what's giving me the right, etc. I don't regret speaking up, but I'm worried that I might have ruined our relationship and friendship, and I'm not even sure I still am allowed to come to the wedding. Did I maybe overstep? Alright folks, what do you think?
I mean, I understand why OP would want Max to know before the wedding, but I do not think she handled this well at all.
Yeah.
First of all, it sounds like OP is accusing her friend of reproductive coercion without cause. Like, unless she has reason to actively suspect there was sabotage involved, because it sounds like they both want kids, have talked about it. If they're not being cautious, kids happen. It's not anyone's doing. Like, it's not a planned thing.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not being cautious, which it sounds like they're not being cautious, then I don't think Max is going to be super, like, angry or taken aback here, right?
Right.
Now, if this is reproductive coercion, then sure, she should absolutely inform him. And if he thinks, like, for instance, that she's on birth control and she isn't on birth control, then that's also a good reason to inform Max. But I think that this is one of those situations where they're getting married, they want to have kids, and it seems like they are probably doing what's required to have children.
Right. I mean, and does Opie have reason to suspect he would react negatively to this? Like, because I'm assuming that his partner knows him well. And you generally, I would say, as a rule of thumb, it is best to tell your partner first about a pregnancy before you tell other people. It should be a joint thing. But there are also some people who would really love a big surprise, like wedding gift of like, oh, and by the way, you're going to be a dad.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about Max. I can't judge how he would feel about that, but like, unless, I think Opie's fine to tell her friend, like, maybe you should talk to Max about this beforehand. But to be like, you need to call off the wedding because I think you're sabotaging him, like, that seems a little bit much.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Chilling Storm says, I'm at a loss as to what you're saying. Daisy should call off the wedding, which is 6 weeks away because she's pregnant, and Max should have the option of not marrying Daisy because of this. However, just because two people want kids doesn't mean that one person can just make the decision when is the right time, and that's exactly what I feel that Daisy is doing. Yeah, one does. The one carrying the fetus gets to decide once the pregnancy has happened. You can express to her that you think that Max should be told before, but that is as far as friendship can bend. To tell her to call off the wedding is way, way, way outside of the bounds, and Daisy is right. You're the jerk, and you should not contact her again. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Apologizing to My Friend After She Screamed at Me and My Kid at Her Wedding? Obligatory, this is a throwaway. 2 weeks ago, I, a 29-year-old female, hubby, a 31-year-old male, and son, a 4-year-old male, attended my best friend forever's 28-year-old female's wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony and everything was going great until BFF and her husband cut the cake. Important context, BFF did speak to me during her wedding planning about being unsure of whether or not to allow kids at her wedding. Her two sisters both have kids around my son's age, and she sees him as her nephew too. But she wanted to be able to let loose and enjoy her wedding without worrying about any kids messing things up. I gave her my opinion, saying that me and my husband allowed kids at our wedding and wouldn't have it any other way. The kids were still family and deserved to be included. After that, and speaking with her sisters, she and her husband okayed the kids for the wedding. Now the ceremony went swimmingly. BFF's nieces sat with me, hubby, and son, and her sisters were in the bridal party. I bought quiet activities for them to keep them entertained, and everybody behaved. I even cried from how lovely it was. When we got to the reception, the nieces were returned to their parents, so it was just now me, hubby, and son. Dinner went fine, and then the couple took the dance floor for their first dance. Afterward, everybody was welcome to the floor to dance, and for a bit before the cake was cut. At this point, the kids were running around and playing with each other, and it was a fairly secure space, and I knew almost everybody there, so I felt comfortable with letting son play with the other kids while husband and I had fun dancing. An important note to mention now, hubby offers to DD so I could enjoy myself, so I had a couple of glasses of wine at this point. BFF also had been drinking and celebrating. BFF and her husband go to do the cake cutting, and hubby and I are a little slow getting there, so there was a crowd blocking our view. Suddenly, I hear BFF scream my son's name. Hubby and I push forward to see what was wrong. I see my son with frosting around his mouth and on his fingers. The cake had a small chunk taken out of it. I try to apologize, but BFF turns around and yells, "It's your fault. Your son ruined my cake. He's only here because you told me it would be worth it to include the kids." I yelled back, telling her that it was just an accident and that the rest of the cake was still edible. That this was her nephew that she was screaming about. She told me that I was no friend of hers and this wasn't her nephew, in front of everyone. She told me to leave or she would call security. Son and I were crying, and the three of us left. One of the bride's sisters reached out to me after and apologized for her sister's reaction, but said that I needed to apologize. I think that sorries are out of the window now after her outburst. I told her sister so, and I said that I expect an apology first before I would say anything. Not only did she blow up at me in front of everyone, but my son as well. I am humiliated and even more angry on his behalf. So am I the jerk if I refuse to apologize first? Alright folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk. OP, it was your and your husband's responsibility to watch your son. Have you offered to compensate her for however many hundreds of dollars that cake was? Like, wedding cakes can be very expensive. Um, and this is all due to your negligence. It wasn't an accident. Four is old enough to know you don't touch fancy cakes. Like, it wasn't like, oopsie, I fell into the cake. No, he was intentionally eating it, so you can't pass it off as an accident. This is on you and your husband.
I think that certainly, OP has the brunt of blame here, but I also think that the bride's reaction was a little overboard too. Like yelling at OP and the kid in this way, think was not really a great way of doing it. I can see her saying that she wants them to leave because she needs some space, but I think the yelling and whatnot was, and saying that basically disowning them was not really a good way of handling this.
I mean, it may not have been the best way of handling this, but, you know, she didn't want kids at her wedding initially. And then OP is like, oh, yeah, it's going to be so great. You're going to love having kids here. And then what happens? Her very expensive cake gets destroyed by the kid of the parent who was like, yeah, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think that it's an unfortunate thing, and I think that she probably was feeling a lot of stress at that moment, and this boiled over in the way it did. But I mean, the cake, like OP said, was still edible. There was a small piece of the cake taken out, and I can understand her disappointment at not getting the first cut of cake because that's supposed to be like the tradition type of thing, right? So I understand why she's upset.
Well, and also, like, the cake may not be edible because who knows where his fingers have been, like, if he's been touching other parts of the cake.
Well, I mean, it sounds like the way OP describes it, and maybe were other things that were ruined, but the way OP describes it is the kid just took a handful of cake out of the cake. So, which again, isn't good, and OP should have been watching their son, or their husband should have been watching their son if he was the designated driver, but. Again, I feel like the reaction from the bride was a little over the top here.
Maybe, but I'd say that given OP's reaction, I can't fault her at all because OP was so dismissive. OP wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'll compensate you for this or anything like
Mm-hmm.
this. Like, a good friend would have stepped up and, like, apologized profusely and found a way to make things right, not double down being like, he was a kid, it's an accident. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't teach your son right if he's reaching into a cake he's not supposed to have.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Shara Mom 4 says, you're the jerk. Your child is very young and in need of supervision. It doesn't matter how secure the location is, there's a lot of things that are not secure, like cake, glasses, etc., in the venue. Not only should you apologize, you should have apologized right then and there instead of reacting with the rest of the cake is still edible because gross, I doubt your kid has washed his hands in a little while. And it was an accident. It wasn't an accident. Your kid is young, so it wasn't malicious, but it certainly wasn't an accident. You'll also need to pay for at least the part of the cost of the cake because that tier was not edible. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
It's going to be a rotten vacation when Cozy Cabins got its name because there's room inside for only one member of your family at a time.
That would be very cozy. And I have Mega Mint. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on weddings.
If someone spreads rumors about you and gets you fired from your job, you do not have to attend their wedding. Stay home guilt-free.
I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.